Hi guys, it's time for another tier list. Even though Season 4 Reloaded is right around the corner, it's just, I think, a good time for me to go over everything again, because I had some playtime with many of the new weapons and the old weapons again after I took a break after Season 3 Reloaded. This is more a casual tier list. I don't do speedruns, I do Easter eggs, but I never aim for the highest efficiency in terms of speed. What I want is reliable weapons that are good at horde clearing, can do good boss damage at the same time. So I rate ease of use, or how easy it is to apply DPS, quite high. This list is not purely objective, because DPS is not the perfect stat to reflect a weapon's performance. You need to consider more things like recoil, ease of use, reserve ammo, if it has any special abilities. So I rate the guns how I would recommend them, basically, for someone who is Easter eggs in a casual way, or plays in public lobbies, let's say into the 40s. But if you are really aiming for high rounds or for speedruns, this is not the best tier list for that. There are specialized weapons for that purpose, but still you will find some great things. I explain them while I go through them. So S tier for me is God tier, wonder weapon level of power. So the list looks a little different than last season, because we have just a gun that is so powerful. I think it really is above everything else, because we had so many buffs in recent months. It's almost C tier, B tier, and everything above are usable. D tier is guns I wouldn't recommend. That doesn't per se mean they are complete trash. I don't really see a point for them when there are just better or easier options available. So let's start with the XM4. For me, this is the bread and butter assault rifle. Is unlocked early, is easy to use, has a big magazine. This is almost the perfect starting weapon. It's not God tier, but very good. Next is the 9mm pistol. Pistol's got a huge buff, so even the worst, in quote marks, pistols perform quite good nowadays. My issue is semi-auto guns without either a turbo controller or an auto clicker on PC can be very annoying to use after a while. This gun shoots slow enough so basically everyone can reach its fire cap, but mashing your trigger for an hour or more is just not something I enjoy, and I wish every gun would have either a full auto options, or for me preferable a binary trigger like the DM10. So you just shoot once or pull the trigger once, it shoots, you release it, it shoots again. That just means you need to mesh the button at half the frequency for the same rate of fire, which makes those guns much more enjoyable to use. So I would put this in C tier, even with Akimbo. It is very good. If you like it, you can even rate this higher, but I think this struggles in, I don't want to say comfort, but yeah, it's just there are easier options basically. Same for the AK. This is an assault rifle that does good damage, but its visual recoil is quite annoying. This is not really your actual recoil on a wall, but the crosshairs are very shaky, look shaky, but not the actual recoil. So it's difficult to watch at your target when the crosshairs are just shaking way more than the actual recoil is. So I put this in C tier. This is very usable, but yeah, there are other guns that are just better at this job, basically. Then we have the AMES. I think the AMES is just a very average and boring assault rifle. And looking at the next weapons, I would even say this is the same thing for the GPR and the Model L. All of them are easy to use, but not outstanding in the damage per second department. So I just would put all three of them in B tier, and this is, yeah, average. That's the best description for that. Then we have the Goblin MK2. Honestly, a very interesting weapon. This got a huge buff. I think they upped the damage by 100%. So if you have a really fast trigger finger, this is an A, maybe even S tier weapon. But honest truth is, most people can't shoot faster than 400 RPM. And not do that for a sustained time frame. So the practical damage output is much lower than its potential. So I would put this in C tier, probably before the pistols. But yeah, if this had a binary trigger, it would be easily A, maybe even S tier. Then we have the ASVAL. ASVAL is just the best overall assault rifle. The recoil is on the higher or medium to high end, but it just has the best damage output for a full auto gun that doesn't cap at a low range. So this is a high A tier weapon. This would have been A tier or S tier a few seasons ago, but we got weapons that are just so much stronger and easier. I can't put this in S tier. KRIG is basically somewhere between the ASVAL and the XM4. It has less recoil than the ASVAL and less damage than the ASVAL, and basically less DPS and more. So it just sits somewhere in between. I think this is almost one of the best all-rounders if you want something that is very good in early game, before you even pack a punch, or yeah, it's a reliable assault rifle. Then we have the Kilo. I think this is very comparable to the XM4. It is low recoil, big magazine, good damage output, but not KRIG or ASVAL tier. So there is still a gap between those guns. Then we have the AMAX. You can play this in two configurations. One is semi-auto. It's a very good semi-auto gun because low recoil, rate of fire is quick enough so most people can still click it fast enough. Yeah, so this is the second best semi-auto gun, or maybe even the best semi-auto gun. I would put this between the XM4 and the KRIG. You can play this full auto. Then it just is very comparable to those two guns here. And I need to make a short correction here. The Goblin Mark II, you can play this with the mini rockets. So it is a full auto explosive gun. But after playing with it initially, that really fell out of favor to me because, I don't know, it just seems that bullet weapons that do more headshot damage are more effective. Next one is the FFAR. This is my first C tier weapon, no D tier. Even though the DPS is not that bad, but I think it struggles in the recoil department and... Oh, no, it's C tier. It's low C tier. This weapon has nothing special to it. It shoots really fast, but the damage output is almost, I think, 1/3 lower than the ASVAL, while the rate of fire is very comparable. It burns through ammo fast, so it doesn't have a good place right now. If they would up the reserve ammo or the damage, this would be a lot higher. Another one is the PP919. I think this is easily D tier, most overrated, or one of the most overrated guns in the game. It has low DPS, but because it has a big magazine and is easy to use, I think some people really like it, but it just falls off much earlier than other guns. So I can't recommend it. It doesn't have anything going for it. There are other options available with big mags, but they do much more damage. Then we have the JACKAL PTW. This gun, it does its job, but neither damage is outstanding. So I think this is high C tier, maybe low B tier. I think I put it in C tier. The KOMPAKT 92 is quite good with DPS, but the recoil can make it a little awkward. It has a conversion kit that puts it into burst mode, but I consider that just straight up worse. So what you can do with this is, because it has such tight hipfire after pack-a-punching, slap a steady aim laser on it, and then you have a really unique playstyle, because you can just hipfire in any situation. So I would say this is low B tier. The Saug is another one of those SMGs that are not bad, but not really outstanding. So I would put this on top of B tier. It has high mobility. You can use this with a tech stance laser. So you have a nice high mobility build. Next one is the PPSH. I have no idea what they thought with that weapon. The reserve ammo is one of the lowest in the game. So you constantly buy ammo with this. And this is enough to just put it straight into D tier. There are SMGs that are easier to use, have more reserve ammo, have more damage. So, yeah. The Ladra feels kind of similar. I think this is the fastest firing gun in the game right now with over 2000 RPM if you put double tap, double time on it. But it struggles with reserve ammo. It's not the easiest thing to use. So for me, this is low C tier. Maybe put it in front of the AK, I think. Then we have the Marine SP. This got buffs. It's usable now. And I like pump action shotguns. But honestly, it's just good, but not great. This needs another damage buff in my opinion. So I would put it in C tier. It's more a matter of, it's more a question of taste. So I would prefer this over all of those guns, but if you don't really like shotguns, this probably ranks lower. Next is the ASG, and then we have the Maelstrom next. So I compare those two together. I don't know what they were thinking with the Maelstrom buffs. It got a rate of fire buff, a damage buff, a headshot buff, a range buff. Meanwhile, the ASG is not really as good with double tap because it only increases the rate of fire by, I think, 10%. So this gun shoots almost twice as fast with almost the same damage. So honestly, there's nothing going for the ASG. Maybe the reserve ammo or the ammo economy. But with the Maelstrom, you shred everything. This is more powerful than most of the wonder weapons right now. If you put Dragon's Breath on it, it has 12 meters of range, it has higher body shot damage than most guns do in the head. So this is my S tier weapon for this season, just because it's so powerful, and I think it's... People know this is a good gun, but I think some still underestimate how good this actually is. You could say almost broken. And the ASG compared to that is just... It's usable, but... Why should you use this? So I put that somewhere between C and B tier. Not because it's actual performance, but just how it compares to the Maelstrom. So let's put that at the end of B tier. Then another one, another great gun. And this is another pair that I can really compare directly. The GPM-7 has one of the highest DPS outputs in the game. It compares with the ASVL, but is a little slower because it's an LMG. It has a special bonus, so it has really tight hipfire after packet punching. The PU-21 is very comparable on the damage side, but it has higher recoil. So I'd say the GPM-7 is a high A-tier gun. You could argue, is it better or worse than the ASVL? It's either in one of those positions. I would put it right between them. And then we have the PU-21, which is just a worse GPM-7, not a bad one. So I rarely play it, so I would put this somewhere here. I prefer the KOMPAKT more because it's unique, you could say. This has nothing standing out to it. Then the XMG, another LMG. The damage output is just so much worse than everything else in this category. So I put this in D tier. And some people will disagree with that one. But I think this is another case of very big magazine, average damage output. I don't see the point of this gun. Next one is the FENG. This is better played without belt fag mag because that makes the gun actually worse. But still, this is a very good LMG assault rifle hybrid. So I put this between the AMAX and the XM4. It's better on the damage side, but a little more clunky, and the recoil is it's not high, but bouncy, I would say. So this is basically a laser. This is a little more shaky. The SWAT 556 is another interesting one because we have the GRAU conversion kit, and this was quite good before I tested my double tap rate of fire numbers. One issue I have with this weapon is the small magazine. So you spend so much time reloading with this because it burns through its 75 bullet mag quite fast. So DPS-wise, without reloading, this is A tier, but the slow reload really pulls this gun down. So I would put this, I think, in low B tier. It's usable, but there are better options available. You could even argue maybe that it is C tier. Then we have the TSARKOV. This got a 80% recoil reduction, and I think even a damage buff. My issue with it is every other semi-auto gun is just straight up better. So you could argue it's a C2 weapon, but I just think it's useless, and that's why I don't recommend it. Maybe it's a little harsh on it, but I don't really see the point. Then we have the AEK. The base weapon just straight up sucks. Same for the SWAT 556. The burst mode is just not good at all. So use this with the full auto conversion kit. But even then, it's not very remarkable. So I would put it somewhere between C and B tier. I think it's better than this. And I think the SWAT is much better than the AEK. So I would probably put this a little higher, somewhere here. And this is just either high C tier or very low B tier. Then we have another interesting one. The DM10 got some huge buffs over the recent months. Rate of fire, damage got increased by a lot. It has that special feature of a binary trigger. So you pull the trigger and release it, and the gun shoots twice. So it's very easy to shoot fast. At the same time, it has quite high recoil, honestly, for a semi-auto gun. So I would wish they would reduce that for a little. You can put that in high A tier. It's better than the AMEX for me, at least. But yeah, this could get some buffs on the recoil side. Then the TR2. Honestly, I don't like this gun at all. I think the firing pattern is just weird. The bursts are too slow for my taste. The damage output is okay, but I almost never use this. So this is something, it has B tier performance. I put it in C tier just because it's a burst gun and there are more comfortable options, you could say. Then the Essex Model 7. If we talk about sniper rifles as classic manually operated sniper rifles like bolt action, or in this case, lever action guns, I think this is the best sniper rifle in the game right now, but it's still difficult to use. It's not a hold down the trigger and everything dies weapon. So I think this has A tier performance, but because it struggles a little more when rounds go fast, I would put it in high B tier. Then the SVD, this is after packet punching a 3-pellet shotgun, and with the double tap double standard augment, this doubles the damage like all the shotguns do. So I think this is an A tier weapon, and it just depends on how much you like this style of gun. It's quite clunky to use, so it performs in A tier, but I prefer those guns over it, so I put it, I think, somewhere here. LR762, I underestimated this gun a little. I didn't realize how high its actual direct hit damage per second is. So this is good for specials, good for horde clearing, it shoots explosive bullets, but the slow rate of fire makes it a little difficult to use. Oh no, that is, it's not difficult, but yeah, as always, other guns are easier. So this goes, I think this could easily change position with the SVD. I like it more than the SVD, so I put it here. The Frostline is a good sniper rifle. but I think the Essex Model 7 is better because it shoots faster and it has an easier rechambering animation. On the Frostline, the crosshair bounces every time you rechamber it. With this, it's just easier to stay on target. So I would put this somewhere in, I think, the lower end of B tier. I would prefer the PU21, but I like it more than the ASG just because it is more unique. The AMR Mods 4 is honestly a difficult gun. It is really good in the body shot department, but it doesn't scale really well with rapid fire or double tap. I think this is another one of those guns that just get a 10% rate of fire increase. So a few months ago, this was one of the highest DPS options available. But now with the Maelstrom basically replacing almost every gun in the game, I struggle to give this an A rating. This will be probably controversial maybe for some, but I think this doesn't really have a role anymore. Yes, it's nice to spam a semi-auto sniper rifle with high damage fast, but it's missing style points almost. So I like it more than the Frostline, but yeah, this is highly subjective, so don't judge me too much on that. Then we have the HDR. A season ago, I would have told you this is better than the Frostline because of the easier rechambering animation. But now we have the Essex. This has really high damage per shot, so it can kill up to health cap at one shot if enemies don't have armor. But that's the only thing it has going for it. So it's a good sniper, but I don't see where where that excels basically over other weapons. So this is C tier for me. Then we have the Grekova, and for me this is the biggest glow up of the year. They cut the range in half, so the damage starts to drop after 5 meters already. But the DPS is just mind-blowing, honestly. It's 150k. So yeah, you need to be careful with the reserve ammo on this. But if you hit your shots and if you have the right build for it, this is one of the best guns in the game for me right now. I really enjoy this. So I would put this in front of the as well, even though it has its downsides, but it's just a very fun weapon. And this is something, a prime example for me, how weapon balancing should be. Make guns great at something. On the other hand, give them drawbacks like range or low reserve ammo or high recoil. So you need to adapt your playstyle. But when you are willing to do that, it's just great. Then GS45. This was an S2 weapons a few seasons ago. Nowadays, I think the Maelstrom just completely replaced it. Same hard clearing potential, better reserve ammo. So I think this is an A tier weapon. And admittingly, I never really liked it, so I don't play it much. So performance-wise, this is definitely in front of those guns. But I don't really enjoy it, so I don't put it higher up the list. Stryder 22 has a conversion kit nowadays that converts it into a 3-round burst. It has really tight hipfire. So if you use this gun Akimbo, it has even more DPS than the Grekova. It runs out of ammo fast, but hear me out, because the DPS is so insane. I think it's 250,000, so almost 50% more than this. It doesn't really matter that you need to buy ammo with that, because it's basically a free pack-a-punch tier. So as long as you try to hit your headshots, and you are at least a little... You pay attention to just hit your shots. This is a great gun. But I can see that this struggles on controller because hip firing is just much easier with mouse and keyboard. So yeah, I put this in high A tier. Next we have the Sirin 9mm. This was one of my favorites a few seasons ago, but for some reason, yeah, it lacks range. And inside that range, the Grekova is just much better. So I say this is a B tier weapon. Not really outstanding anymore. And it doesn't really scale well with rapid fire, I think. Next is the Cigma. This is one of the best boss damage weapons in the game still, if you use something like Free Fire. But this is the only thing it excels at. And I want guns that can do both boss damage and horde clearing. So I put this in high C tier, I would say, because it has some boss damage potential. But I rarely take this. Honestly, that's lying, but I put that even lower. I still would prefer the 9mm over this, if this is my only gun I bring into the game. So don't get me wrong, great rocket launcher, has insane damage. It's just not very fun to use in early rounds, and you need to buy so much ammo with that. Then we have the HE1. It's just worse than the Cigma. There's nothing much to say here. It's just C tier. This is not better than, this completely replaces this. Next is the Dissector. This gun, you saw clips of that melting bosses. And I think it's great for that, and it's really fun to shoot it into big crowds and see multiple zombies dying at once. But it struggles so hard in early game. In a public lobby, you using just this, you can't keep up. You will not earn enough essence to upgrade it and progress. So this is a D tier weapon, even though it has some special potential. Yeah. Next one is the Cypher. The Cypher for me is another one of those low recoil and boring assault rifles. High C tier, maybe low B tier. Yeah, let's say low B tier. This just doesn't excel at anything. So LC10, I think this is very comparable to the Saug. I think it does lower damage overall. It's great with attack stance laser, but yeah, I think high C tier, I prefer this over the JACKAL, or maybe low B tier, somewhere around here. And the last gun on the list is the Nailgun. I really like this. Damage-wise, it's not much better than other SMGs. It's just, I think, because it is unique and the slow projectiles, you can really see them hitting the target. So I like it more than the stats actually reflect that. So I put it somewhere in, I think, high B tier, but this is personal preference. And just by going through the list, I think I am missing the Tanto 22 for some reason. I don't know why that's not in here. I think I counted 45 guns. Yeah, just the Tanto 22 is a high recoil gun. I think it struggles less on controller, but I think actually there are some SMGs missing. I will make a cut here, add some pictures for the missing SMGs, and then I keep going. I found that I'm missing 3 SMGs. I can't go in-game and take 3 screenshots right now for some reason. So I just, did this lazy thing here. So for me, the C9 was always a good SMG. It's the jack of all trades, you could say. Good rate of fire, good damage. So I think it's high B tier. It's not outstanding, but good. So I think I would put it between those 2 guns. The KSV is something that I think this is the best DPS SMG, but I don't really like the high recoil. So I put this gun lower than the DPS suggest. I would say C tier maybe. This is a difficult one because this is more preference. I just don't like this gun, but its performance is higher than that. So I would say I put this, below between the Goblin and the Marine. Then we have the Tanto. For a long while, I didn't really like this because of the recoil, but on controller, I think it's easier to use. With mouse and keyboard, it's just, if you constantly have to pull the mouse down, this gets annoying after a while, and on controller, pulling down the stick is less user input, you could say. And the aim assist makes it sticky on target, so recoil is lowered a little, basically. So I put this on the lower end of A tier. Okay, so that's my complete Season 4 tier list. I think, of course, you can always debate about some of those placements, and this is preference, as always. I can't make an objective list because I was talking with donuts on my server about this. DPS is just a flawed stat in itself. You can't represent every important side of a weapon with it. And we don't understand many game mechanics like FMJ, so penetration damage, or explosive damage, or armor damage. So this will always be subjective to a degree. But I think all of those guns S and 8, also S tier, is a no-brainer. If you want easy mode, just use the Maelstrom. Every gun here is perfect for every situation. You can do Easter eggs with those, you can do boss fights, even semi-high rounding without bigger drawbacks. Then B tier, I think these guns either require some effort to be viable, or they are just worse than other options available. C tier is I struggle to see a point for those guns category. Mostly it's when there are just other options that perform better, like the KSV or the Goblin. Same for the TR2. But one clear trend is those two categories get smaller and smaller. So much more stuff got pushed into the higher tiers and is now recommendable and perfectly usable in every situation, because Treyarch made some big buffs, and I want them to keep going with this. Don't go overboard, but reward weapons that require either manual input, like bolt action snipers, semi-auto guns, or stuff that is difficult to work with because you need to be very precise. Those guns, reward those guns more, and that's why I like buffs like the Grekova so much, because this is not a comfortable or... I mean, it's an easy weapon, let's be honest here, but it forces you into a niche or more niche playstyle, getting closer, risking more. I like that. Reward people for taking risks. Reward people for playing guns that are not just your usual assault rifle where you hold down your trigger. So a few weeks ago, I would have told you nerf the Maelstrom. It destroys the weapon sandbox. But honestly, the Maelstrom is only annoying if you have someone in your lobby who is actively going out their way to be just annoying. Sometimes you have those people you follow you on every step and just steal all your kills. And I know there is no kill stealing in zombies. Just be faster. But some people don't want to work with you, but against you. And if those people play the Maelstrom, it's annoying. For everyone else, you can just ignore it, honestly. You don't need it. You can do any Easter egg with all those guns, but this, of course, makes it easier. So I rarely play the Maelstrom nowadays, just because cheap is the wrong word, but I think it's unexciting for me. I rather have something like the Grekova. So I think Treyarch did a really good job with weapon balancing, and I want to keep this going, to take a look at weapons that are more unusual. As an example, just give the TSARKOV another damage buff. Give more pistols a binary trigger, so semi-autos are still semi-auto, but easier. Then, I don't know, shotgun. Make them great up close, the Marine SP as an example. Just make that thing destroy a whole crowd below 7 meters, and then have it have a harsh damage drop-off. Not everything needs to be spammy or easy, but give weapons exciting skills almost. Yeah. So, whatever, I'm starting to talk too much. If you like this video, I will make a top 10 list for everyone who didn't get to this point because I like to talk so much. Yeah, leave me a comment, join our Discord, check out the DPS chart we have. I can't directly link that because I still need to verify my YouTube account, but just Google DPS sheet and you will find it on Reddit. Yeah, give me feedback, leave some comments, and have a good day. See ya. This was not to start recording.